Hey guys, my name is Jake. I'm the sole owner and operator of Magnolia Services. I'm a residential HVAC contractor based out of Johnson City, Tennessee, and today I'm going to do an unboxing video and a test on the JB Platinum Spark-Proof Vacuum Pump 7 CFM model, A2L rated. As many of us are having to get ready for this A2L stuff coming out, and some of it, is already out. We've had to go in and buy tools and stuff to be compatible with this new mildly flammable refrigerant. So I had to order this vacuum pump. I ordered it through TruTechTools.com. I was actually quoted up to $955 by some supply houses, $900 to $955 after tax here where I live. And I got this on TruTechTools.com, and it's listed at $700. It was back ordered. It took a couple weeks to come in. But I used code SHOPTALK at checkout, SHOPTALK, and I got that discount code through Zach Ciota. If you watch his channel, it's HVAC Shop Talk. If you don't watch it, you should check it out. But if you go to TruTechTools.com and use that code Shop Talk at checkout, I think it's 7 or 8% so of a discount, and then you get free shipping on orders over $100. So coming to my door, it was $705.17. We pay 9.5% sales tax here in Tennessee. It's pretty steep, but using that discount code really gave me a considerable savings using the Shop Talk code at TruTechTools.com. So if you're not familiar with TruTech Tools, check them out. And also check out Zach's channel. I'm not affiliated with them. I'm also not affiliated with JB. I wish JB would sponsor me. That would be pretty sweet. I like their stuff. I've always wanted one of their pumps. But let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to do a test on this thing. We're going to unbox it, and then we're going to pull a vacuum on a 26.2 pound water capacity recovery cylinder to see how quickly it can pull down below 500 microns. That's a 16.6 pound tare weight on the cylinder. Model number for this particular pump is the DV-200N-250SP. It's a dual voltage spark-proof motor, A2L compatible. Alright, so this is the initial look at the box here. One thing I really like about JB products is made in the USA. That's what I'm talking about. This is a half horsepower capacitor start motor. It's got thermal overload protection on it. Again, this is a spark-proof vacuum pump, so it's capable of being used with A2L refrigerants. This is also a dual voltage motor, meaning it can operate on 115 volts or 230 volts. It's also a two-stage direct drive motor, which is pretty sweet, and it's capable of pulling down to 15 microns. This also has a 2-year warranty on it, which is pretty nice. I'd like to see some of these guys extend these warranties, but I understand they don't want to do that because some guys are pretty rough on their stuff. But 2 years is pretty good. So let's go ahead and look at the other side real quick and see what else this thing has to offer. Okay, so a few things that I really liked about this pump when I was looking at pumps was it's rebuildable. You can actually field repair it, which is a really good feature to have with a vacuum pump if something goes wrong. The other thing that I think that you really can't have a vacuum pump without these few things is an internal check valve. So if you lose power while pulling a vacuum and you're not right out there with the pump, it's not going to pull the refrigerant oil out of this thing and suck it into the machine. Something else I always look for in a vacuum pump is the blank off isolation valve. That way you can isolate your vacuum pump from the hoses that you're pulling on. And then also I always look for a gas ballast valve. My Hilmor 5CFM pump had one, and my previous pump had one, so it's something that I like. So what you do with the gas ballast valve is you open up the gas ballast when you first start the vacuum, and what that does is that initial hit of moisture that you're pulling out of the system doesn't travel through your oil and contaminate your oil as quickly. So with the Hilmor, I typically left my gas ballast open to about 2,500, 3,000 microns, and then I'd go ahead and close it and let the pump pull through the oil. Each manufacturer, I'm sure, kind of says their own thing, so I'll be sure to read the manual on this and see what it tells me. And then the other thing I want to see is I like the tree on this thing, meaning it's got a 1/4 inch, a 3/8, and a 1/2 inch intake port. to put your hoses on. When I'm pulling a vacuum, I like to use 3 Appion core removal tools. I put 1 core removal tool on the suction line, 1 on the liquid line, and then I also put an additional core removal tool where on the liquid line to where I can isolate my micron gauge from the actual unit so that I can valve off my micron gauge and not worry about getting it hit with refrigerant when I release the vacuum. But something about this tree that I like is with me, I pull with a 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch on my suction line, my hose. It's a big old hose made by Appion. And then I pull a 3/8 to 1/4 inch on my liquid line. So the 3/8 will hook up on my tree, 1/4 inch on the unit, and it helps me pull faster vacuums. So that's something that I really always try to look for when I'm purchasing a vacuum pump. I want to make sure that I can use enlarged hoses to help me pull a vacuum quicker. So this checked all the boxes for me. Let's go ahead and open this thing up and see what it looks like. So just cut open the box here. Looks like we got some paperwork, warranty registration card, some stickers, and then an operating manual. Let's crack this thing open here. Oh yeah, nice packaging. Looks like it should be protected. It's filled with like styrofoam peanuts and stuff. This does come with a quart of the black gold JB vacuum pump oil. Looks like it's got a little pour spout in there too. Yeah, how about that? That way you don't have to use a funnel. And some cords here. Here's one. It looks like this one possibly might be attached. I don't really know. I don't know, I don't want to go. Oh no, it's not. It's loose. Alright, I'm not sure why this one isn't tied up with a bread tie, but it's not. Alright, let's go ahead and pull this thing out and get a look at it. Not sure how well this GoPro is going to actually focus on this page, but I figured I need to go over this. This pump is 32 pounds. The RPM rating on this is 1725 and 1425 RPM, and it takes 21 ounces of oil. So this thing's definitely has a pretty good size oil capacity. I think my Hilmor only takes like 14 ounces of oil, so this takes a little more at 21 ounces. It definitely weighs more, but my Hilmor is only 5 CFM and this is a 7 CFM. And the Hilmor has a lot of plastic on it. I like the feel of this a lot better. This, like I said, is 32 pounds, so it's definitely stout. So I was just reading through the manual here and wanted to mention that this doesn't specify a micron level in which you're supposed to close the gas ballast valve, which is good to know. This one's just basically saying that after the pump quiets down from your initial volume of air, you can close the valve and continue evacuating the system. So it doesn't specify a specific micron rating. Okay, so first look at this thing. The cord with the bread tie on it definitely is a 115 volt plug. This is what you see over here in the States at least. And it looks like the one without the bread tie that was in there all loosey-goosey is a 230 volt plug. Definitely not something you see over here. But this is what the pump looks like here from the side view. This is where your cord, of course, here, this part is going to plug in. You have your blank off isolation valve right there. That would be open, that would be closed. There you got your tree, 1/4 inch, 3/8 and 1/2 inch. You got your little ring if you do commercial work, or maybe in some markets you have to pull vacuum pumps up onto roofs and stuff. But that's a little ring you can run your rope through to pull it up. This is your exhaust port right here. You just got to take that cap, pull that out of there, so that way the pump can discharge right there out the handle. Close it up, of course, when it's not being used to help protect that pump oil. Let's turn this thing around. This is what the front end looks like, where you're going to actually add your oil to the pump. Like I said, they give you a free quart of the black gold vacuum pump oil. So you fill it here. I'm guessing that's why they give you this little pour spout. It is a pretty small hole, so if you don't use this, you definitely have to use a funnel to make sure you're not spilling oil everywhere, unless you got a real steady pour in you. This is your view sight glass, the view glass where you can actually see your oil level. You're going to fill it basically up here where it says oil level, and you're going to want your oil dead even there. And then the drain ports down here at the bottom, right there. Everything is brass on this, which I like. It seems to be built pretty well. This is a pretty stout pump. It's definitely not a cheap feeling pump. It feels pretty hardy. On this side, here's your gas ballast valve. That just gets cracked open when you want the vacuum to bypass the oil, and then you can just close that back down. It's got a nice feeling to it, nice sturdy brass knob. It actually is in the metal and it says gas ballast there, so you can't confuse it for like a fill port or something. A nice big rocker switch, on-off rocker switch, which is pretty nice. And it's got some rubber feet on the bottom here, keep it from probably making a bunch of noise and vibrating all over the place when you're using it. Okay, so this is what the back of the pump looks like. You got your nice vent holes for air to discharge out of. You can see a little bit of a better angle on the exhaust there. So that's what the back side of it looks like. I forgot on this side, I need to check on this over here. I'll flip it around to make sure it's set up for 115 volts or 230. I think it might come factory set to 230, and that's probably why that cord, that 230 volt cord, was not bread tied up. Let's just make sure that. So if you peel out on this sticker here, there's a little switch in there, and see, this actually does, I'm not sure how well the camera's going to show that, but it's actually set for 230 volts. So the guys in the European market would be set up there, not so much us here. So I'll need to put something in there and change that to 115 volts instead of 230. But you definitely want to make sure you're using, of course, the correct plug, and that this is set where it needs to be set. Right now it's set on 230. So let me go ahead and move that to 115 volts. So to move this, it's real simple. I got me a little Greenlee screwdriver. It's set at 230. There's a little indentation here. You can stick a small flathead in and just push up, and that takes you to 115 volts. So now I'm set for 115 volts. Something I'll keep an eye on when I'm using it. It seems pretty stout to actually change that. Just make sure it accidentally doesn't ever get switched into the wrong setting, you know. All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing filled up with some oil here, and we'll run a test with it. All right, well, I actually already have an open quart of JB, the black gold vacuum pump oil. Let's see if I can do this without a funnel. This might get sketchy. That's all right. You just turn the thing to the side. All I'm doing is watching the sight glass, the oil level sight glass here. And don't want to overfill it. I just want to take it up to that oil line, the oil level line there. Just slowly pouring this in. I've been using this JB vacuum pump oil in my Hilmor. I'm going to slowly pour it. I guess that's the advantage of using a funnel. You can really get after it. I know one thing, this vacuum pump oil, any of it now is not cheap. This stuff is not cheap. I think I'm paying in excess of $15 a quart for this stuff now. Alright, so I'm getting some oil showing up in the sight glass now. I don't think the camera's picking that up. Let's see if I got enough here in this little container. I had about 20 ounces, 21 ounces in there. Looks pretty close. Not sure how well you're going to be able to see that. Pretty close. Looks like I might, if you get down low, looks dead nuts to me. Might give it another little squeege. I've only got maybe a 1/4 ounce in there. About took that whole thing. I'm not sure how well this will show up on the GoPro, but it looks dead nuts on that oil level line there. Going straight across. Just broke into that center circle there. What I typically do on a pump, I'll take a little on my finger like this, and then just wet that O-ring on the drain plug with it so it doesn't stick or anything, you know. I like to wet it. Alright, now we'll just screw that in. Actually, I thought it'd be way harder to add oil to this thing without a funnel or without this little attachment they gave you, but once I saw that you had to cut this off of there, I didn't want to grab a razor knife out of my bag. It's pouring outside right now. We've been getting rain since yesterday. It's supposed to rain all day today and then tomorrow. So I didn't feel like going outside and getting my razor knife. I got a pocket knife on me, but I don't like cutting plastic with it. It just dulls the knife quicker. Alright, well, that was easy. I only had a little drop spill on it right here as I was ending it. Just got to remember, I guess, to turn the oil container on its side. I'm sure it's a little more difficult with a full quart, but with 21 or so ounces in a quart, not so bad. Okay, so we're going to do an initial test on this thing. Got my field piece micron gauge here, hooked to the 1/4 inch on the tree. My 1/2 inch and 3/8 is tightened. Gas ballast is closed. Oil fill valve is closed. I got the exhaust opened up here. I've had it plugged into the wall for a few minutes now. I'm going to go ahead and turn this thing on and make sure that it pulls a good vacuum on the micron gauge. They say in the starting instructions to turn it on with the isolation valve on. Helps prevent hard starts, and to also turn it on with the gas ballast closed. I'm not going to run, once this thing fires up, I'm not going to open the gas ballast on this because we're just testing the micron gauge. But just wanted to let you know. So let's go ahead and fire this thing up and see how it does here. Definitely chooching down low really quickly here. So I'd say it's definitely pulling a good vacuum. We're down at 24 microns. I don't need to go crazy with this, but the proper shutdown procedure is to isolate the isolation valve, open the gas ballast. They said let it run 2 to 3 seconds, and then you can shut it off. So in the procedures for this, it says when you want to shut this pump down, valve off the isolation valve, open the gas ballast. That releases the pressure in the pump, I'm guessing, and then let it run for a few seconds, and then you can shut it off. Okay, so this is going to be my setup for pulling a vacuum on this recovery cylinder. I got my 3/8 inch hose hooked to the tree over there on the 3/8, coming into the liquid port for the recovery cylinder. It's got that dip tube that drops down, so I wanted to put my smaller hose on that one. And then I'm running my 1/2 inch hose off the 1/2 inch connection on the tree over there, coming into an Appion core removal tool with my field piece micron gauge hooked up there. I'm going to go ahead and pull a vacuum on this thing and see how long it takes to pull down below 500 microns. When I'm pulling a vacuum on a recovery cylinder, I want it down below 100 microns and I want it to hold. But just for test's sake, we're going to see how long it takes. I got my phone set up. We can run a stopwatch on the thing. And I have Nylog on all my threaded fittings, even on the pump. Alright, let's let it rip here. Alright, got it running here. Oh yeah, he's already pulled way down. I probably could have left the gas ballast open a little longer, but I decided not to. I shut it down. Let's just see how it does here. It was still making a little bit of noise. Now we're starting to make a little bit of a positive gain here. It raised up to about, when I first had the ballast valve open, it was up or down to 800 and something microns already. But I closed the ballast valve and it kind of raised up a little bit to about 1200. Now it's chooching back down. We're at 800 microns and falling quickly. And we're at 700, just below 700 now. Get this ready, 580. $525. Alright, 500, a minute and 36 seconds. Not so bad. Minute and 36 to get down below 500 microns on this cylinder. I'm going to let it run some more here and see how it does. We're at 390. Less than 2 minutes, just hit 2 minutes. It's starting to slow down a little bit now. We're only dropping at about 200 microns now a minute. We're at 345. $300 at 2 minutes and 31 seconds. Alright, we've slowed down to about 115 microns a minute now. We're at 250 microns, 3 minutes and 2 seconds. This thing's chooching. It's definitely getting some heat time in here. We're dropping down pretty rapidly now. We're at about 75 microns a minute now. We're at 232 microns. It's slowed down now quite a bit. We're at 43 microns a minute. Let's see how long it takes to get down to 200, and then I'll go ahead and shut it off here. I'm going to keep it running, but I'll stop the video. Alright, so we're at 203. 200 microns, 4 minutes and 11 seconds. Okay, I went ahead and pulled it down below 100 microns. It rose up some. It's been sitting here for several minutes. It's at 146 microns. Raising about every 4 every minute. Was it 5? So I'm gonna go ahead and I shut this side here, closed my Appion tool. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down here. That's got a good enough vacuum for me. Okay, so that's what this JB Platinum spark-proof A2L rated vacuum pump has to offer. 2 potential concerns thus far for me, just in the initial testing of it. I worry about this plug here going in and out of this over time. Will this end up becoming loose? And you know, I worry that switch might accidentally move while it's in the van and go to 230 and me not realize it. Hopefully it doesn't. I'll keep you updated if it becomes an issue in the future, or if this thing, you know, stretches out in the future and end up having to replace the plug. Where I'm not in Europe, I'm only going to use 115 volts. If I don't have access to a power plug, I have a little attachment that I bought that hooks into the disconnect, and then it still allows me to plug in like a normal plug. I don't have any sketchy stuff going on. So I'd rather just have a motor specifically for 115 volts. That's just me. The only other thing that I would say on this pump is this composite base. It's got some nice rubber feet on it, but this base is all like a plastic composite, and I worry that over time it's going to get chipped or damaged or crack or something like that, because this is a very stout pump weighing 32 pounds. So I hope that this doesn't become a problem in the future. Hopefully it doesn't. I mean, it's nice and thick, But you know how the sun does things over time, it can end up degrading this thing. So hopefully it doesn't become an issue. The good thing is this is a 100% field repairable unit. So if it does break, I could just take the base off and order another one. But hopefully I don't have to. I'm pretty careful with my stuff. I try to take really good care of it. But that's just two concerns that I see just off the initial test. The base being like a composite plastic, and then this having to be selected for 115 or 230, you know, and then along with that, this plug going in and out all the time, because I don't want to store it in my van with this still attached. I want to, you know, keep it in a bread tie right next to the pump. So hopefully that doesn't become an issue. I'd much rather have a plug that is hardwired directly into this thing versus having to constantly pulling it in and out of there. Now this is I don't know if I said this in the video, this is about a 6-foot long plug, which is nice. Gives you a pretty good distance and reach, you know, for plugging this thing in. Wanted to say thanks for watching. I appreciate you tuning in and watching the video. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about the JB Platinum 7 CFM dual voltage A2L rated vacuum pump. What do you think? You think it's worth $700? It's hard to believe that a vacuum pump is $700 now. It is crazy ever since this inflation how much stuff has gone up. The equipment skyrocketed, as well as the tools we use to work on the equipment. Pretty crazy. Thanks for watching, guys. You guys stay safe out there. Get home safe to your families. Take care, and I'll talk to you later.